Mental health has a massive relevance, especially at uni and in our generation, particularly among creative students as well. I mean, we have an opportunity to express it, break the stigma, to actually talk about it, which is so important, and create things that people can relate to. You know, we can make things more inclusive, you know, for people with mental health issues. And if it makes at least one person feel better, then it's worked.
Hello.
As a writer, you give over your work and the other artists take control then, the directors and the script editors and the sound people, and it's a collaborative process, of course it is. And they have their own creative flair and make their own creative decisions, which may not chime with yours.
The Salford's ethos is about empowering you to understand your mental health as best as you possibly can, because that's the most important thing that you can really learn about, is to have that awareness of yourself and to know that you'll constantly be evolving and changing as you grow and get older.
Remember that this is you. These are things that you've remembered. You don't have to remember them verbatim. So that's the whole point of the exercise. What you're saying is how you've remembered that. And as I said at the start of the exercise, we only remember and recall things that we like. Think about the stories that are emerging, or the themes that are emerging. The quirky ones are interesting, aren't they? Because you're picking up on them automatically. So if you will, then your audience will.
I think it was a pretty interesting insight into story writing. We got to learn a bit of the process from an experienced professional in the industry.
We came in and partnered up with people. We then learned everything that we could about those people, things we wouldn't normally say, because we just had to talk about ourselves for a good couple of minutes, and we made a character out of all those attributes.
Group dynamics needs group care so that you can look after each other, to be compassionate and to make good work, because nobody knows what's going on behind another person's facade. You know, you can come in and be all really happy and smiley and you've got something devastating ticking under the surface. But when somebody says, you know, "You all right, mate?" "Yeah, I'm fine." "Are you sure?" It's that you have that feeling of somebody cares, and I think that's really important.
We just did the papyrus suicide prevention training, which was really important to do, raised awareness around the subject, and we talked about safe language to use and sensitive language to use, and I think that was really interesting. That was something I hadn't really thought of before.
Today I've been delivering SPOT, which is Suicide Prevention Overview Training. This is to raise awareness for the prevalence of suicide. We noted that quite a lot of people weren't actually aware of how many young people in the UK took their own life, which is actually 1,866 young people, which has risen since 2017, which was 1,591. We also talk about raising confidence in spotting the signs around suicide and asking the question about suicide and what we can do as a society to help create a suicide safer environment.
It's kind of given everyone
doing it an insight, whereas before we've done it, I think only people who have experienced it themselves really know like what it entails. So it's good to have like a shared knowledge so that it can be talked about more, because it is a problem. I think that it's not really covered because it's like a taboo subject.
If you know anybody who is suffering from thoughts of suicide, they can get in touch with Hopeline UK, which is a free confidential advice line for those feeling suicidal, but also those concerned for somebody. You can get that on 0800 068 4141.
I've just been to the Stephen Walker Masterclass at the Young Minds Matter project. I found it really, really insightful to hear what Stephen had to say and his interpretation on the job roles that we're going to be taking on in the project. So I found that really useful and I can't wait to get started.
Step outline would be, each scene in the film that you think you need to write, again, before you develop a draft. Some writers go straight to draft, but some writers will like to do treatment, will like to do step outlines, will like to do, and I think Esther said yesterday, there's no right and wrong way of doing it. It's whatever works, but not that. Because hopefully this process will tell you the whole thing. We're all on a continuum somewhere between poorer and more robust mental health. And all characters have that sort of, some crisis, don't they, over the course of, most characters have a crisis and a change over the course of a story anyway.
Psychodrama is an action-based form of psychotherapy. We bring the past, events from the past, or perceived events that might happen in the future, or that one wants to happen in the future. We bring them into the present, here and now, and explore how we feel about them and how we can change our attitudes into being what's called adaptive. Through psychodrama, we're working with the body as well as the brain, because we're using movement, we're using the space, and that can often enable us to access the memories or the feelings, because we're accessing them through the body into the brain rather than into the brain through the body. We call it surplus reality. So one can play a scene that one remembers from the past in a different way and see how that affects the protagonist. I think mental health is really important. There are challenges of the speed that we exist in the world today, particularly in the Western world, the time to be with oneself. And I think the current modern world is not a place where we're encouraged to be, it's a place where we're encouraged to do and to buy. We have to have an identity. Just to be sitting, not listening to anything, not watching anything, just being is a rarity these days.
So I just had the psychodrama therapy session with Phil Burgess and it was really, really impactful. I went into it not really knowing what psychodrama therapy was and thinking actually it was going to be a little bit wishy-washy and not really something I'm being into, but I found it really effective, really impactful and probably really helpful for the videos that we're going to make.
This morning we had a directing workshop with the dad and it was really insightful and he taught us different things that we're going to use when it comes to us directing our own film.
The purpose of all of this is really to visually tell a story by immersing them beyond that 2D plane into your world.
You have to find ways of working with people that work for you creatively, and it's like dancing. I always think of it as like dancing, that you dance well with some people and less well with others because there's a rhythm going on there. I suppose as well it's about what we talked about in terms of this whole project, that people go around, they carry themselves in a certain way and that they are like a certain person and they think everything else is great, but underneath, you know, there's sort of this other thing going on.
Normally I'd go into that situation and be a bit like reserved, I think, and then because of how deep it's kind of been, like what we've already spoken about together, it's like there's no boundaries really, like we can just go straight in there and get working really.
And I think that everyone in the groups is so understanding of each other's ideas as well. Everyone's just been really collaborative, cooperative and understanding of what other people have to bring forward.
Just come out of the writing session with Esther, we developed the characters and we found it really helpful to plan the script further because we're doing a treatment tonight to give to her on Thursday so that she can look over it.
So shoot simple things that you can cope with and shoot them really, really well. Light them properly, spend time on them, find the avenue you want to go down, but do it really, really well. And learn about it, get every aspect you can about it, and then do it and do it properly. But then put your angle to it. Don't get tied down to chasing the money. Because if you chase the money, you'd end up unhappy. Think of your creativity and how you can improve stuff. But someone could be really, really depressed and we don't know because they hide it. And you know, they might be laughing and joking, but you know, something really bad is happening to them and they're putting on a show. They don't want people to see it. But we've got to look for little signs, and as a crew we all have to look at, because that's what you are when you're in a film unit. The minimum crew you'll be with is about 30 people, and it'll go up from there. But you have to make sure everyone's safe and comfortable and all right on that shoot. For me, I'm coming to the end of my career. The students are the future, and I feel it's important for me to pass on my experiences so they can learn and use the knowledge I've gained over the past 50 years or so to their advantage. I've done a lot of work with things like Samaritans and homeless people. It's just very important to be involved. As a society, as a community, we should look after each other and take care of each other. You can't bottle up mental health issues. It's all about talking. You know, talking is very important, and the more we can open up and talk to people, the easier we can make it on ourselves, because we're all suffering these same problems, but we're all trying to be rough, tough men and hide behind it, and it's just stupid, it's silly.
I found it really eye-opening because I didn't really know a lot about mental health or suicide before doing it, and it's taught me quite a lot, I think.
I second that. I feel like we've been able to explore the topic of mental health a little bit more and how we can incorporate these sorts of themes into our own films as well.
I would say keep it simple. The themes, the narrative and the overall flow of your film, relatively easy. Everyone's gone through some kind of like trauma in their lives. How that affects you as a human is going to just determine how you live through.
We know that optimistic people do better on all sorts of things, so they do better on academic achievement, higher incomes than people who are pessimistic. And again, I suspect it's for the same reason that people who are optimistic strive more. Your brain is constantly changing and adapting to the environment around it. Now, the good news about that means is that even though you might have had really, really crappy things happen, is that you can continue to change and learn and grow.
The concept for the project sort of bubbled under for a while after I'd done a counselling and psychotherapy course, and being a programme leader here at Salford, I'd realised that we'd had enormous issues with people coming to us with mental health struggles, and I felt personally didn't really have the tools to support that. That's what brought the project into fruition. And we've had some fantastic psychodrama therapy from Phil Burgess, which has really opened up to these performing students a different way of understanding their emotional world. And one of our students said to me the other day, he helps us to explore emotion memory in a way that is safe. So I feel, you know, that we've done some good work here.
I hope you've enjoyed the process. Thanks very much.
What I've enjoyed most about the last 2 weeks is how holistic the whole experience has been. We've done things with mental health, we've had industry professionals coming in. It's really not felt like an academic experience, it's felt like a real life workshop process.
I've learnt quite a lot about myself, which I didn't expect, because I usually go into these kind of things with quite a negative attitude, And my favourite part of it was the psychodrama therapy because, again, I went into it thinking this is not going to be helpful for me personally, and then came out of it feeling incredible. So I think it was overall a very good experience.
I think it's taught me that when it comes to the video project, just to make sure that everybody's okay, and if somebody looks a bit sad or seems like they're struggling, just go and ask them if they need any help with anything.
I think it's been a brilliant project. I think that more projects should be like this because everybody suffers from, at some point in their life, from mental health. At university level, this sort of a project where it's creative, it's collaborative, and it has outside experts who know about mental health and particularly who know about how to help you when you're feeling in that way, to stop a downward spiral. It's a brilliant thing. I think there should be more of it, and I've never heard of a project like this before.